Hi, my name is Alexis Jones. This is my Soapbox speech, an ode to teachers, restorative justice versus retributive justice in schools. What is justice? According to Merriam-Webster, justice is split up into two definitions, the first being the quality of being fair, and the second being the administration of law. For me, justice is an ideal often never reached, because what is fair and what is law in my community is not designed through the lens of equity and equality. In my home, school, and community, justice is a distant expression often used to subdue a crowd. Now, thinking about the school system, add the word retributive to justice. Retributive justice, also known as the punitive justice or the zero-tolerance policy, is a method to discipline in schools that focuses on the punishment of the offenders. There is no rehabilitation in this justice. There is no understanding, simply severe and automatic punishment. In school systems, the zero-tolerance policy has been a method of correction since the 90s. Some extreme instances of this policy occurred in the early 2000s when a 6th grader in Seattle was expelled for bringing a squirt gun to school, or when a 1st grader in North Carolina was suspended for kissing a classmate on the cheek, or even the group of students in Chicago who were suspended for 10 days for being in the hallways after the bell rang. And of course, you have those students who get suspended or heavily reprimanded and stop their behavior. But oftentimes, this aggressive form of discipline leads students down a ruinous cycle. This cycle is known as the school-to-prison pipeline. The pipeline creates a gateway into the tangled web of mass incarceration. So, what needs to be discussed is how we have been working to change this phenomenon and what implementations must be made to stop this cycle. Some people have come to understand that punitive justice isn't the answer. Around 2012, schools began to use restorative justice. Restorative justice is an alternative to traditional student discipline. It encourages students to reflect on their transgressions and root causes, talk about them, and try to make amends. Through this form of justice, peer mediation and youth courts have grown, but lately I've personally noticed a decline. As they say, history repeats itself. Administration has seen that implementing restorative justice practices is not easy. Children have inadvertently learned that the only way to recognize they've done something wrong is by being sent to the principal, out of the classroom, or even out of the school. One of my own teachers told me how challenging it can be to constantly try to talk things out with students when it's like they aren't listening. But my teacher still perseveres because they know what positive outcomes will ensue. In other places, administrators' odds are more bleak. Public schools and lower socioeconomic communities are underfunded and understaffed, leaving teachers to decide whether they should put emphasis on the curriculum or students' self-understanding. A new study has shown that restorative justice leads to safer schools but hurts Black students' test scores. This is because in most minority communities, the conversation around safety is so grand it takes precedence over some standardized testing. Teachers shouldn't have to choose whether to prioritize safe behavior in the classroom or the curriculum. This law we all follow should allow for both. We need to address the fact that our justice system is not doing enough to aid our schools. There needs to be equity in the distribution of resources in education, because only through this will restorative justice practices actually help students. In order to make laws and education system more fair, more funding must be distributed to schools. The financial assistance will increase personnel and curriculum support. It will increase personnel training that teaches school administration the benefits of restorative justice and gives them the opportunity to practice enforcing this new application. In addition, the mindset around test and accountability in school performance needs to be radically altered. These evaluations must be examined using a holistic approach, looking not just at test scores, but at the resources allocated and the community circumstances surrounding the school. This is a piece designed to push our legislators and encourage our teachers to be more active in the process, because using restorative justice practices is worth the battle. It is worth the battle to keep our kids in school and out of prison. It is worth the battle to help our students understand their wrongs before they're engraved in their history and used to define who they are. It is worth the battle taking 3 weeks or more to drill into our children's brains their insight on their mistakes, rather than to see them lost years later because no part of society accepts them. It is worth the battles to keep our kids off the street and in the classroom, because one day they may fall out on the concrete and they may never wake up. Thank you.